Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
No, I love this. And this is the sign from a moving company. It says, if the flag of the United States offends you, and if our national anthem makes you weak in the knees, please call us. We have teams of people that can help you pack up and leave. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Tuesday. Come on, give us a call. Quickly. And a good morning to you. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch. Glad to have you with us on this Tuesday. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of safe driving tires. Stop in and see them today. Excellent service. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And lastly, don't forget Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very well done, my friend, and I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. There you have our Pledge of Allegiance from a true patriot this morning. And right now, we're going to jump right into the weather forecast. Wheels, if you didn't already, please boost that up just a little bit, if you would, please. For some reason, we're really low this morning. Want to remind you right now, it's time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. Holy moly, they've got all the best of tools and equipment to help finish any construction project, anything you've got in mind. All the mowers and the tractors and the excavators, they've got it all. And don't forget, too, they've got those Skag U-turn or zero-turn mowers, I should say. And still time to get in those new lawn sprinklers, too, or water lines. Check everything out right there with Roger and the crew at K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. And we're going to go to Gina with the weather.
It's going to be another warm one. Here's a look at your weather forecast, and it's going to be sunny for today, so make sure you grab that water bottle and that sunscreen. We are expecting a high of 94 tonight, nice and clear with a low of 56 tomorrow. Another warm day, sunny skies, low 90s. Overnight lows are going to be right around 60. For Thursday, looks like some clouds are going to be rolling into the valley, and we're going to be cooling off just a little bit. Partly cloudy skies with a high of 82, overnight low of 51. Then for Friday, back to sunny skies in mid-80s. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7th Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Don't forget all the excavators, air compressors, everything you need right there at K&R Rental with Roger and his whole staff at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. Number to call, ask them questions. They've got the answers, 678-3122. Wow, busy day today. We've got Dan Kish with the Institute for Energy Research. We've We've got Dr. David Hogberg coming on talking about Medicare. Dr. History is going to be here at 10:06. And then a lady that's been on Sean Hannity's program quite a bit talking about pro-America and buy America. Rose Tennant is going to be on the air. Don't forget, Thursday is sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, you better get a hold of them for cattle consignments for Thursday's sale, 678-9411. That number again, 678-9411. And Merv May, Cade Rogge, and Lance Udy working at the sale that works for you. Thursday sale day at 10:30, Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Don't forget to be there. Want to also remind you, too, about our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. You know, I was in Burley yesterday, and I forgot to stop in and see them. Holy moly, I apologize. I was going to stop in. I've got a whole bag full of goodies, rumply crumplies for them at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And you know what is true, not only a great dry cleaning service, but oh my goodness, wonderful job of washing, drying, folding, and ironing all your clothes, just like Mama used to do. All this at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Please stop in and see them today. My good friend Jerry Voss called me yesterday, and there's going to be something special at the Mini-Cassia Senior Center in Rupert, and this is going to be an event. Now, I want to make sure I get this understood correctly. Modern Woodmen of America Chapter 15634 is sponsoring a fundraiser. All proceeds raised from the project will be matched by the Modern Woodmen up to $2,500, and the cost is $10. It's going to be Saturday, September 7th from 6 until 8 p.m., and I believe all of this in reference to their great big end-of-summer barbecue. So everybody trying to be there. And Modern Woodman and, of course, Jerry Voss, always involved, and we appreciate that. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're going to talk in just a minute about two women. Actually, there's four that I have absolutely no use for or good things to say about, and that's the supposed squad made up of Omar, Presley, AOC, and also Tlaib. These four women are going to and have been and will create more problems in the future, not only for us here in this country, but also for our allies, Israel being the main one. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But right now, don't forget, too, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Hello, Ramsey's. My goodness sakes, all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Now, that's not bragging. That's absolutely a fact. They've got everything there, as they have and been serving you for over 6 decades. I urge you to give them a call, talk to them, or stop in. 678-0459, the number to call. Location 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They open up at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric, over 6 decades of serving you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Are you there?
Right.
Hello.
Something I wanted to... Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. There's something I heard on KMBT that I thought was very interesting, and I know you got a different subject, but I think this is kind of important, and it is the fact that the school, I don't know which one, or in Twin Falls, is going to shut the cell phones off of the students during class time. And I think that would be such a wonderful thing, because they're going there to study. Do you agree?
Well, I agree, and there's a lot of things I'd like to say about the media. I'm not going to comment on a story from any other source, be it KMBT locally or whatever. I did not hear the story. I do not know about the story, but I will say this. I personally would like to see where they go into a classroom and they have a little cubby hole that has the student's name on it, or a little cubby hole that they can use for their own personal property. And I would love to see those cell phones checked, turned off, so there's no ringers during the class time. If they want to talk to somebody or take a call between classes running down the hall, that's fine, but not during class. I think it's high time that schools took back the power of being schools and a place for education and not a social event for everybody to call somebody else.
I couldn't have said it better, because that's exactly how I feel. Especially the texting, how two students can sit side by side and text each other.
Yeah.
The same as talking to each other.
Well, we've let this situation get out of hand, Keith. We've let this situation get out of hand. I mean, there's no way in the world that 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, for some of us a little old in the gray hair area like me, well, if we would have pulled something like that going into a classroom, I can think of some of my teachers like Mr. Thompson and Mr. Robb and others, they would have taken that supposed cell phone back in those days, opened a window to the school and played Look Out Below and let it go, because there's absolutely no need for any of this going on in the classroom.
We need another Earl Carlson, who is the principal of Burley High School when I went there.
Okay.
No nonsense. He ruled with an iron fist, and he's the greatest guy in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Because you had discipline.
Well, that's the way it's got to be, for heaven's sakes. It's not the students going to school telling the teachers and the administration what to do. It's the administration on the reverse saying, okay, sit down, shut up, pay attention, turn your cell phone off, put it over there in that little cubby hole. Don't pick it up until after class. And if you want to get up and go someplace, raise your hand and I'll give you permission, whether you can or not. I am absolutely sick and tired of the kids going to school. I'm not saying all schools. I'm not saying all kids. I'm saying going to school and trying to run the operation. That's not the way it is.
Well, this man was so great as far as I'm concerned that if they had a sporting event in Burley and there was any booing at all in the crowd, he went over there and physically threw them out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he actually did it. He was not a big man, but he had a powerful voice, and he did a wonderful job, and I am so grateful to this man for his discipline.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up this morning. I don't care where the story came from or who the story's about. I compliment anyone that's going to try to take back control of our classrooms and say, hey, listen, Johnny, listen, Susie, you are here to learn. I am the teacher, and here are the rules and regulations for my classroom. You will not break them. You are a student. You are under 21 years of age. You will adhere to my policies. If not, please step out in the hall, call Mommy and Daddy. We will have a lengthy meeting as to whether or not you're going to be in my class or not.
I'd revel for those kind of days again, because discipline is the key to all education.
Amen. Well, actually, it's the key to a lot of things in our society that are lacking right now. Keith, thank you so much. Appreciate your call. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Hey, don't forget Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley. Oh, Thursday is the day. Day after tomorrow, we'll be over there for Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And we absolutely urge you to come on by at 11:30, and we're going to give away a lot of door prizes. We've got door prizes, gift certificates from Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Denny's. Oh, it's a lot of fun and great eating all the time. Great food at Denny's Restaurant. Whether you want breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time, with the great people that work there. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley. We'll see you on Thursday. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Well, I have just a moment. I want to also remind you about Ark Animal Hospital. You know, really, if you've got pets or if you've got livestock, you want them to be healthy, stay healthy, and believe me, take the best of care of them. I don't care if it's a little kitty cat or a whole bunch of dairy cattle or horses or whatever. Please remember, Ark Animal Hospital, Dr. Bill and the crew are there to serve you and your livestock at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And believe me, they're always there. They understand the problems. They can help you. 678-1177. That's the number to call. 678-1177, where they have warm hearts for cold noses. Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn. Caller, thank you. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Zed.
Hello, Tony.
I need some information.
Uh-oh.
I understand there's an Enemy Agent Act on the books. Would this Enemy Agent Act be enough to shut these terrorist training camps down?
Well, first of all, hold on just a second. Wheels, again, I'm having a hard time hearing our callers, and you might ask Gina about that if you would, please, and boost Tony up just a little bit. Number one, Tony, I don't know too much about that act. I have not read that act, and I'm going to get a copy of it and read it. I'm really concerned about the naivete and the lack of caring, and I think you'll agree with me on this, the lack of caring by our political leaders, if you want to call them that, understanding that we have some very, very dangerous people and groups in this country where their only mission is to kill, maim, and overthrow our government. And if anybody thinks that's a right-wing approach this morning that I'm talking about, you and I both know it's the truth, because there have been many of these camps infiltrated in Texas, New York, and other parts of the country. And these are evil, sinister plots that are being training people to hurt us.
Well, they're waiting for the day that the Democratic Party disarms you and I. And these guys are going to come out of these training camps in full force and finish the job.
Yeah.
That's what my main concern is.
You know, I'd take a little bet with you, and I know you probably will bet with me on this. If you took a little survey with even our congressional people, our senators, they would probably poo-poo around this and say, oh, well, yeah, we've heard about maybe some camps, but we don't have any verified proof. I've got verified proof right here on my desk of pictures, stories, and books that have been taken of various groups around the country, including upstate New York, Oregon, Texas, etc. I don't know why our politicians are either dumb or naive.
What flag are they flying in these camps? Foreign flags?
Well, there's been...
Consider that foreign country?
Well, I don't know how in the world they can fly any flag other than ours, but they do. They've had camp pictures showing ISIS and others referring to Al-Qaeda and everything else. Tony, the heinous crimes that are going on in this country and are left untouched by law enforcement or people involved in our government is absolutely heinous, and the problem is getting worse every single day.
Well, these two gals that have so much hatred for Israel, they're nothing more than a bunch of saboteurs, these two gals.
Don't get me started on certain names to use for them, because I'd probably get thrown off the air. I have no use for the squad. I have no use for who they are or what they represent. They are the bottom of the barrel. They're the scum and the residue on that barrel. And anybody that wants to arbitrate with me, the phone lines are open. Give me a call, because Talita Rashid and all these other people are absolutely despicable. Ilhan Omar, Presley, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, all of them causing nothing but problems. And listen to this. In Tlaib's case and Omar's case, going over to Israel, they were going to be sponsored by a Palestinian group The money was going to be paid by a Palestinian group that advocates and supports Palestinian bombing. I mean, what's going on here?
Oh, man, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They were supposed to go over there and visit family. So this was going to be a subversion thing.
Well, family schmamly. The country of Israel had every right to tell Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, no, we don't want you here. But all the trouble goes back on Donald Trump. Have you noticed that every single article in the paper, it says Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that, Donald Trump didn't do this, Donald Trump did do that, Donald Trump is guilty of this, Donald Trump stretched the truth on this. They never give him anything at all. In this morning's paper, talking about Omar and Tlaib, they said, quote, at Trump's urging, Israel denied entry to the first 2 Muslim women elected to our Congress. No, it was honestly the Israeli government that was looking at this thing first and foremost and saying, we don't want them here if they're going to be causing a problem in favor of Palestinian.
Donald Trump is the savior of this country, and I hope he holds up for another 4 years, because if the Democrats should get back in again, this country is going to slide right back into a depression.
Oh, no, it's going to be worse than that. This country will slide into an open cesspool of hate and chaos and be crime-ridden. And I just absolutely, I hate to sound so negative this morning, but my detestability and my attitude towards the Democrats and the Democratic Party and people like Tlaib and Omar, on a 1 to 10 scale, it's about a 36.
Well, I'm with you all the way, Zeb, and I see things happening here in Twin Falls that are disturbing me, and it reminds me of things that I left New York for.
I understand. I understand where you're coming from, my dear friend. Tony, you know that you and Mary are very special people. Thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
You know, I've got a question for you out there in the audience in just a minute, but I'm going to do this commercial, and then I'm going to ask you a question because, gee, I can't seem to find anything from this man I'm going to be talking about in just a minute. I mentioned yesterday, and we're going to be off and running on all the advertising right now for the Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch, great big annual production sale. When it comes to Jerry Zollinger and his family, I know these people. I know the horses. I know the conformation, disposition, and performance that they are able to attain. And believe me, they've got some of the best quarter horse bloodlines ever anywhere, and including Playgun, Pepta Boone's Mall, Bodie Boone's Mall, Leo, Shining Spark. The list goes on and on. So when I'm going to advertise a sale for someone, and I'm going to tell you that they've got the best of horses, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm telling you the truth. September 7th, be up at the Zollinger Ranch in Oakley, Idaho, for one of the best horse sales you could ever attend. Put it down, Zollinger Quarter Horse Ranch, September 7th. Be there. You know, here's my question this morning in regards to our wonderful, everybody loves him, hugs and kisses, Mike Simpson. Here we have Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib that are openly against the United States and openly against its number one ally, Israel. They have been open to accepting and taking money for a trip paid for by a pro-Palestinian hate group that believes in human bombs. Where's Mike Simpson? Why isn't Mike speaking out? You know, Mike, say something. Talk about these women that are absolutely un-American and in your House of Representatives. Speak up. Now, to be fair, if there is something that I have missed, and quite frankly, I've been known to miss certain stories, and I apologize up front for that if I did, or certain quotes or anything else attributed to Congressman Mike Simpson regarding these very devious, destructive, and dangerous women, I'd like to know about it. But I think it's about high time that our Congress, our Senate, and our people back on the Potomac in general started speaking about all the filth and the evil that's going on in our society, created by and stimulated by people like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. It's the Yummy Man this morning. For lunch today at the Burley Senior Center, we're having chicken salad sandwich and tater tots, green salad, applesauce, and yummy dessert.
Okay.
For only $5, it's a bargain.
Now, let me ask you something. Do you like that chicken salad to where it's got like the cashews and also the chopped up pieces of apple in it?
They make it very delicious.
Okay, Joe. And you don't know the yummy dessert?
They haven't told me yet. If they're working on it, it'll be good.
Okay, Joe, over at the Senior Center on Overland. Thank you so much for your call. We'll send everybody over. It's only $5 and a lot of good food. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You
for
bet.
all you do for us.
Thanks, Joe. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Folks, you got to ask yourself a question. Do you want to live in a country, this great United States of America, that may be, underline that word, may be, in 2020, a little better than a year from now, will be held in control by people and by a party of the likes of Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ms. Presley, and others? Do you want that kind of leadership? Underline the word leadership with a question. Do you want to have the government be in total control of everything? The government in total control of a single-payer Medicare system. The government in control of everything. The government possibly discerning a change in our Constitution with our Second Amendment and, quite frankly, many changes to our First Amendment. Do you want that? Do you want a government led by people that are so radical they don't appreciate this great United States of America and for all the values that it has with a capitalistic system, and they want to change it and go socialism? Look at Venezuela and look at other countries. Absolute failures. Do you want that? Do you really want that? You should be saying no, but I can't understand, and I'm totally in the dark on this one this morning. Help me, folks, please. On recent polls, how 43% of America, 43% of America said, oh, yeah, bring on socialism. Oh, yeah, we love that. How in the world can these dumb, and they are, people say something like that? Has our education system failed them that bad? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I do not want any kind of socialism in this country whatsoever. And those women that are on the squad, I think they need to resign from Congress.
Well, if they don't resign, Rodney, I absolutely am going to be pushing from way out here in Idaho to people that I know back in their respective districts in their states, Minnesota, Michigan, etc. I'm going to do all I can to lend support to see if they can't get beat in the next election. I do not want them as a representative. Say that again, but don't run over me. Go ahead.
Sorry. You got me in your corner on that one.
All right, Rod. You know, and I appreciate your pro-American spirit. These women are disgusting. these women are absolutely pathetic, and they are openly backing the curtailment of any of our involvement with Israel, our number one ally, and they are pro-Palestinian people that absolutely scare me. I'm sorry, I have nothing good to say about them.
Well, me neither. They're not, the Democrats nowadays, they're not the Democrats of
No.
Roosevelt's time or Kennedy's time. No, sir. They're more like the Communist Party under Stalin.
Yeah. Now, you're not going to get an argument out of me. As a matter of fact, I certainly do appreciate your openness and your frankness on this, because it's about high time the American public started speaking out. We've got trouble in River City, believe me. And when you hear numbers of 43% of the people that are so dumb and gullible to say that they would love to try socialism, I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, what is the matter with our school systems?
Personally, I think those numbers are skewed.
They could be, very well could be, but I'm just using the graphic numbers that came across on my desk, and it's still scary. I don't care, Rodney, I don't care if it's 23%. It's still scary.
Yeah. You got a point there.
All right, buddy, thank you for your call.
Yeah, hey, I'll see you at lunch, bunch, huh?
I hope so. Thank you very much. Caller number 2, I'll be there in just a minute. Stand by. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental. When I talk about Barry's, I'm talking about equipment that can absolutely help you. The Doosan wheel loaders and the excavators, the Bobcats, all the different shapes and sizes. They've got them all for the lifting and the digging and the pushing and the carrying and the leveling and the grading. Oh, my goodness, they do it all. I'm going to cough. Stand by. Allergies. Sorry about that. So I urge you to get a hold of Barry Equipment and Rental. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location for the equipment that you need with the best of financing programs and lease for you. Barry Equipment and Rental, you get a hold of them today. Caller, good morning. I'm sorry I had to cough.
Well, that's quite all right. I listened intently this morning, especially, not being distracted by anything. And everything you said or your guest have been spot on. I really think that we're on the right track of thinking of these things. But, when you were talking about the First Amendment, I kind of cringe a little bit there, because it's kind of gotten out of hand. I don't think that it is right for people to be able to speak out against the President of the United States.
No, I disagree with you.
That is wrong.
No, Keith, no. Just a minute. I think you're one of the nicest guys in the world, and you've been so supportive of this program. But no, you've got to draw a line in the sand. You're either going to believe in free speech or you're not. You're going to believe in the First Amendment or you're not. If you say that someone should not criticize President Donald Trump, you're wrong, because they should have every right to criticize President Donald Trump. On the other hand, my friend, I had every right, when Obama was in office, to criticize him, and the left and the liberals and the Democrats crawled out from underneath their rocks, and they came after me, called me racist and everything else. See, it's a one-edged sword with the Democrats and the liberals. Oh, we can attack you, we can attack your conservative values, but you turn around and come after us and we're going to get you. I hear what you're saying. But in a free society with a First Amendment that means anything, we should have the right to criticize any and all people and any and all subjects.
Well, you're right there. I don't know how you could pick and choose what to eliminate, but it hurts me inside to hear people talk about our president that way.
No, I totally agree with you.
Obama.
No, I totally agree with you. And like last Sunday in the paper, Deanna and I were sitting there reading the Sunday paper, and I said, look at this garbage in the Times News. Every single story was slanted with headlines or secondary headlines to where everything was derogatory or negative about President Trump. Every single story. And it gets to the point where it's such liberal bias that it absolutely is sickening. But we live in a free society, supposedly. And I'll guarantee you one thing, Keith, and you know me well enough that this is the truth. If, God help us, it doesn't happen, if a Joe Biden or if a Kamala Harris or if a Cory Booker is elected as president, you can bet your pickup, your car, and your house that I'm going to be there attacking them in a professional manner, not the sleazebag way that they did it to President Trump, but I'm going to be after him like a junkyard dog.
You know, the one thing that, and you're going to have to agree with me on this, is the fact that every time they attack the President of the United States, he comes back with a force that shoots them automatically. I mean, every time they lose. And so when are they going to learn to quit attacking?
Your point is really well taken because, you know, you would think the Democrats would have a shred of common sense and say, gee, if we attack President Trump on this, he's probably going to come back at us and make us look foolish. Well, bingo! Every single time.
Well, look at what the president has said about Joe Biden.
Yeah.
But it's all true.
Yep.
But Joe Biden's the one that started. He wasn't the president.
Yeah, I agree.
Time to fool around with stupid people like him.
I agree with you. I got to run and do a commercial, old buddy, but your points are well taken. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you. Caller number 2, I'll be right there. And Wheels, I don't know what you did, but do not change it. It sounds a lot better all of a sudden. Thank you. Don't forget Dino's Septic Service, and we really appreciate their effort. Oh, my goodness, you don't want to be standing out there, especially on a day like today, 95-degree weather, pumping out a septic tank. Oh, no! Or liquid waste removal or sewer and sink drain line cleaning. Oh, they do it with a smile on their face. I know these people, and they are so nice, and they are so helpful, and they've got great service. Dino Septic Service. You call today at 436-6526 or 678-1638. Absolutely. Dino's Septic Service with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, this is a little tidbit of information that you never heard from the mainstream media or the European media. Finland, his economy has collapsed, and all of the leadership has been ousted because single payer for all health insurance has collapsed the economy of Finland. Now, this is a brand new story, but did anybody hear it? Well, I don't know. I guess not. It's not something we want to hear here in America because we think that, if the squad is running the world or Bernie Sanders or Joe Biden or anybody, Kamala Harris, they can make socialism work here because they're smarter than anybody else ever. And because it didn't work elsewhere, because the people just weren't smart enough to get her done. But these people are. Well, it doesn't work. It's never worked. And the writing is on the wall. But you see, we have smartphones, and our children have smartphones, and they don't know nothing.
Well, you've kind of summed up the attitude of the whole first hour of the program, and I couldn't agree with you more. You've gone from our very first phone call all the way up to the current. Randy, a great summation. I appreciate your call. I got to get the weather on, buddy. Thank you. All right, take care. I agree with him. Our weather forecast is brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and I want to tell you that they really, really are in tune with your hearing health. I urge you to give them a call and schedule a hearing screening if you're noticing any diminishment in hearing, and I know the number. Have it memorized, 312-0957. That number again, 312-0957. Absolutely the best in serving you. They're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Thank you. Here's the weather.
It's going to be another warm one. Here's a look at your weather forecast, and it's going to be sunny for today, so make sure you grab that water bottle and that sunscreen. We are expecting a high of 94 tonight, nice and clear with a low of 56 tomorrow. Another warm day, sunny skies, low 90s. Overnight lows are going to be right around 60. For Thursday, looks like some clouds are going to be rolling into the valley, and we're going to be cooling off just a little bit. Partly cloudy skies with a high of 82, overnight low of 51. Then for Friday, back to sunny skies in mid-80s. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7th Ranch.
All right, thank you, Gina, and brought to everybody by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they are committed to providing expert diagnostic tests combined with the best technology to provide the most comprehensive treatment available for you and your hearing health. Call them today at 312-0957. Oh, by the way, we're going to take some more calls right now, but I want to remind you, the Magic Valley Stampede, one of the top 60 professional rodeos in the country, is now part of the Great Big Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association Pro Tour Series. This is a big deal, and all of this is going to be at the Twin Falls County Fair and Rodeo. And the Magic Valley Stampede, August 29, 30, and 31. Tickets are available now. Go to the website, www.twinfallscountyfair.com, and get your tickets for this PRCA Pro Tour Series. You're going to be seeing the best in the West and all the top contestants in all the events right there at the Magic Valley Stampede. And don't miss it for 2019 at the Twin Falls County Fair and Rodeo. All right, calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, you've got to admit that we have reached a very low rung on the level of the ladder in this country, and we're going backwards as far as the way we treat people, our politeness, our respect, if there is any. And when you look at organizations and groups like Antifa, now, here's where I have to measure my words and be very, very careful so that the cowboy doesn't come out in me. You look at a bunch of worthless, black-robed, black-masked punks that are only bent on causing destruction and hurting people, like what they have done in various locations around the United States. And you listen, you listen to these worthless punks sitting there yelling and screaming at police, that police are standing there with their riot gear on, and they're trying to keep some semblance of law and order so that the confrontations don't get completely out of hand. And these worthless punks are sitting there yelling obscenities at the police, almost nose to nose, telling them how worthless they are, telling them they should go shoot themselves, telling the police they should go commit suicide, telling them they are not needed, we don't want them on the face of the earth. What? What? You know, I listened and watched and took notes regarding what happened over in Portland. And these people that represent the sick, vile group Antifa, they are always going to get a plus sign from the media because they're on the leftist side of the aisle. But it would not bother me at all to see conservatives, if there's a confrontation, really clean house on these people, because they have reached the point where they think they are untouchable. Watching this scraggly, bearded, absolutely zero personality thug and punk yell and scream at police about going to commit suicide and shoot themselves, it was beyond the pale. I wonder, and I hope a lot of you people saw that, because that's where we're at in this country today. If the left doesn't get their way, and if the left doesn't retain power or take power over you and I, that situation right there is going to get a lot worse. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, I think if they would just open fire on those people, bring the fire department and turn those water hoses on them, march their butts right back into the ocean where they belong.
You're not going to get an argument from me, and I'm not going to play devil's advocate for anybody. I have no use, no time, and no patience for what's going on in our United States today. We're letting evil, and I think you'll agree with me, we're letting evil take over and control our lifestyles, control our cities, control our government, and it's about high time to smack somebody in the nose.
I think you're definitely right. You know, that protest they did in Portland, that's getting a little bit too close to home for me.
Did you see that? Did you see what I'm talking about the way that they were so disrespectful to the police, and they were taunting them, telling them, and I can't use some of the language naturally on the radio, about committing suicide and shooting themselves. Did you see that?
Yes, I did, and I wanted to throw up. You know, and I have to admire our men and women in blue for standing there and taking it without, I mean, I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either.
I'd be smacking somebody.
No, I could not. I'm going to be very forthright and honest about it. My personality is not such that I could ever stand there and have some punk or a group of punks walk up there and waving their baseball bats and dressed in black with their masks on and everything and berating me. I honestly, Donna, I totally agree with you this morning. Sometimes we disagree, but I could not take it.
Yeah, no, my personality is just about like yours. You don't do that to people, and like I said, I have to admire our men and women in blue for standing there and not retaliating. You know, they're told not to. How wrong is that? They get ice water thrown on them. They get things thrown at them, and they can't defend themselves. Boy, we are a sad group of people.
You know, here's what's going to happen, Donna, and I hope that you will remember this and call me back if it doesn't happen and say, boy, Zeb, you were wrong. But here's the scenario that I see happening. From New York all the way to Los Angeles, there is a complete disrespect for our law enforcement and our policemen. And I am so afraid, like what happened in New York City last Saturday evening. A group of police were sent to investigate some kind of a rumble in the jungle, and people were dropping bricks and other items from up 4 or 5 stories high. Someone is going to get hurt severely and or killed, and this has got to stop.
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. I'm afraid what's going to happen is maybe all of our police officers maybe need to just not respond and see how they like it.
Well, you know that's not going to happen, and you know they're always going to be there to protect and to serve. But what I'm more afraid of, and I think you'll concur, is why would anybody want to become a policeman? I mean, we're going to start seeing shortages.
Oh, heck yeah, I wouldn't want to. You know, like I said, I've got to give them great big credits because they run in when other people are running away.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that we agreed today. I can put a gold star on the wall and say, this is a good day.
2 times in 1 month. Man, we're doing good.
Hey, thanks, Donna. God bless you. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, thanks. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, I tell you what, I am high on them. I was over at one of the locations yesterday, as a matter of fact. Excellent, excellent, excellent service, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. They are such good people at all 7 locations, and they've got the best of tires for your safe driving. They've got the best of brake service with highly trained brake technicians, front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all of this and more. But you know what? They really, really are top-notch on service. They want to get you in there, take care of you, and put you back out on the road so you can enjoy your day. Stop in. See Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. Yep. Nobody better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best. All right, here's what's coming up next hour. Dan Kish, an old compadre of ours, is going to be on the program. And then at 9:30, Dr. David Hogberg. Caller, I've got exactly 30 seconds, real quick.
Well, I've got a quote of the day then. And it says, if you're unwilling to speak up against tyranny, you are already a slave.
Bingo. Bingo. Nobody could have said it any better or more succinctly. Doug, thank you, my dear friend. I'm going to go to the news.
Let's do what we can for our senior centers. God bless.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I'll be back in 7. Wheels, take it away. Appreciate it. Here we go again, hour number 2, and welcome back, Zeb at the Ranch on this Tuesday. It's hard for me to believe that it's already Tuesday, August 20th already. Holy moly! And brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of safe driving tires. Also, don't forget some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And last but not least, Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, old Buddy Wheels over at the station is going to have this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, my goodness sakes, thank you very much to Western Waste Services. And I urge you, maybe you're doing some summer cleaning leading up to the fall, and you've got a whole basement full of yuck, and you need to get rid of it. Well, I'll tell you what you need to do is check on the dumpsters. They've got many dumpsters of various sizes over at Western Waste Services. And believe me, all you do is call 734-6969. Tell them you need a dumpster. They'll drop it off, you fill it up, they'll come and get it. Absolutely at your disposal, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, 734-6969. And before we get our guest on the air this morning, I also want to remind you, too, about our dear friend Joel Heward, his family, and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary. They're located at 710 6th Street in Rupert, and believe me, they've been serving you and your family for many years, always with the best possible support and comfort, and with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, the number to call, 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Wheels, do you have Dan Kish on the phone?
I just got Dan's email, and I'm calling him now.
Okay, I'll leave you alone. I'll do another commercial. We had a change of numbers. That's not your fault. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Right now, Burley Physical Therapy. I was over there yesterday, and they gave me the full treatment, and I feel a lot better this morning. You will, too. I mean, if you're aching and paining or trying to recoup from a surgery or an accident, please take my advice and go to the best. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Here's the number to remember and call, 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Nick Greenwell and all the great physical therapists there with all the exercise programs, the use of that hydrotherapy pool, only one of its kind around here at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, and they can help you get back to being you. Wheels, do we have him on the phone?
I'm still trying. The landline, I had to leave a voicemail, but hopefully the backup will work.
Oh, my. He said he's not getting anybody on the landline. quickly. Keep trying, Wheels. Don't talk to me. Just go ahead and try to call him. While we're waiting, I want to remind you, too, that my dear friend George Mass is going to be having and putting on, and it's not that far away, it's just a matter of a few days, weeks actually, the 4th Annual Patriotic Show and Shine, standing for the red, white, and blue on the Rupert Square in Rupert, and it's going to be Patriots Day on Friday, September 13th, and the big car show on Saturday, September 14th, and the 1st Annual Combat Veterans Memorial Ride. All of this, and it's free to the public, 4th Annual Patriotic Show and Shine, standing for the red, white, and blue. And I know George is going to be on our program talking about that in the next couple of days. Do we have Dan Kish on the phone, or what do we need to do, Wheels?
I'm not having any luck on my end with both numbers, but I'm trying the landline again.
Try the backup numbers if you did already.
Okay, I will.
Hurry, real fast. Waiting for Dan Kish with the American Energy Alliance. I need to get him on the air this morning and talk to him. He's probably waiting for us. While I am waiting for that call to go through, I also want to remind you about our friends. I'm doing a lot of cover-up here. I'm waiting. Don't forget our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Deanne, would you take this and see if maybe you could call somebody back there? And Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And believe me, they've got all your carpet, all your mattresses, all your luxury vinyl planks, everything for you, for the beautification and comfortization of your home. And all you need to do is stop in and see them at 459 Overland in Burley. Jeff and the rest of the crew, they really can help you, and I urge you to do that today. You know, they've got such great ideas, too, on how to beautify your home. As we get closer to fall, when you're going to be spending more time in your home, I urge you to get a hold of them today. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. What's the situation, Wheels, old buddy? Did we get anybody?
I'm still not having any luck, sir.
Well, are you what numbers are you dialing? Tell me quickly. Fast.
So, I'm dialing the couple numbers on the email that Deanne sent me. And then I am also trying to call the numbers that I wrote down this morning when we did the rundown. Oh,
so Deanne's just telling me that he's not available all of a sudden we found out? Where is he? Is he by his cell phone or not? He's in Michigan at what number? At the 540 number? Okay. We're trying to get this established quickly while I'm sitting here on the air. And Wheels, call the 202 number that you have that Deanne just sent you. Call it right now. He's waiting.
Okay, will do.
All right, thank you. Live radio, you got to love it. You got to appreciate it. As we're trying to get a hold of Dan Kish on our program this morning, he's probably in Michigan doing some fishing at streams that I used to fish up in the Upper Peninsula, up around Escanaba and other places. So hopefully we can get him on the air and find out more about what he's doing. Again, while we're waiting, trying to catch him, let's not forget our friends at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the world. And believe me, they have something special for you. The 2020 models are coming in, and that means they're having some great deals to save you money on the 2019s, on the watercrafts and the side-by-sides and the four-wheelers, all the accessories. Oh, my goodness, you better get in there today. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the world, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And don't forget, they've also got a wonderful service department to serve you and keep you running at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. One more time, Wheels, did you get a hold of Dan?
I'm still not getting anything, sir, for some reason.
There's a call coming in. We'll take that call, and evidently we're not reaching him. Deanne, I want you please to forward this information. Try that number and see if you can't get him on the phone, please, and let him know that we did try, and evidently the connection's not coming through. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again.
Yes, sir.
You know, feel free to cut me off at any moment.
I appreciate that.
That's important. I was talking about the First Amendment, what about this vulgarity language that people are using on the air? What's happened to this Federal Communications Association?
Well, there's basically a laxity that we've never seen before in the history of media, to the point where they've relaxed their standards and they've relaxed everything on your primetime television programs, what can be said, what can't be said. Keith, I think that where we're headed is down a long road to evil that you'll never be able to come back from. We're seeing language used on sitcoms, etc., that 25, 30 years ago would have absolutely never even been thought of.
I think you're absolutely right. Well, I can't give any solution, and I don't think anybody else can either.
Well, I don't think there's an answer to any of the problem about what's being said and how it's being said unless it's one simple thing. We've got to get back to some morality. We've got to get back to some decency. We've got to get back to some sense of right and wrong. And I'll take you, for example. I have never heard you say anything in all the years that I've known you, anything that could be even close to being construed as off color. And I respect you for that.
Well, and I have to talk to myself to make sure that I don't do that, because it's so easy in a moment of anger. I remember when my children were growing up, every once in a while I would slip, and they'd stare at me like, "You're not perfect after all."
Well, and I'm glad you said that right there, because I'll be the first to admit, and I know there's people in the audience listening right now that are going, "Oh, Zeb, you think you're so good." No, I'm not. As a matter of fact, I am far from it, because I make a lot of mistakes, and I do and say things that I am not proud of. But each and every day, I think all of us can get up and try to be a little better, act a little better, and talk a little better. But it just seems like it's an open season right now in the media to do and say as they wish, as low as they want to go.
Yeah, it's changed over the years. I remember President Eisenhower. We seldom hear anything about him. But, he's the one that came up with the idea, let's make a highway across the United States. Everybody thought he was crazy. What would we do without it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But, in regards to the sitcoms and the TV shows, there are certain things that, we never, in this house, we do not watch any of the prime time sitcoms or situation TV shows from 7 until 10 o'clock. Won't do it on the major networks, ABC, CBS, NBC. I won't watch them because they're all trash. And I mean that. They are all trash. I'm either going to be watching a news event, or I'm going to be watching a sporting event, or I'm going to be watching the old Cowboy Channel, because the trash that's on TV today is not worth turning on.
Well, I'll tell you, Zeb, a lot of people complain about how everything is so expensive and everything. My bill to the Dish Network is less than $50 a month, and I will not let it go any higher than that. And so I've got a lot of things that I'm missing out on, like MSNBC, some of these other creepy places. I don't have them, and I don't miss them. One thing I love is my Western channel.
Oh, I do too. Absolutely. Listen, Keith, I appreciate your call. Brought back some old memories. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Caller, you are on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, just before the break, you were talking about the disruption in Portland, and you never heard the mayor, stand up for the police and say that what the Antifa and the others were doing was wrong. And you never heard Kate Brown, the governor, say a word, because, you see, they're so afraid that they're not going to look cool or whatever it is they think they're trying to prove. But you see, this same attitude is with our mayor in Twin. When they had an abortion, to stop abortion in the city of Twin, and there was 400 to 500 people there, I guess it was a great showing. And lots of people were very concerned, and the city was asked to be there, the city council and the mayor. None of them showed up. Because, you see, we can't look like we're not, in and cool, and we're leaning towards Ocasio-Cortez and the squad instead of doing what is right.
Well, let me interrupt you right there, Randy, and ask you a question, because you've kind of gave a summation of what's wrong with our entire society. And I'll say this, and I want to hear you agree or disagree. I think what's happened in our society today, whether it's Randy, whether it's Zeb, or whomever it might be, we have lost our courage. We've lost our ability to stand up for certain values in this country, and we go along to just get along, and we don't want to make waves. And that's the problem. Nobody is willing to stand tough, stand tall, stand firm for the issues that really mean something.
No, and see, this is what they're counting on. The squad and everybody that goes along with it, the environmentalists, LGBTQ, they're all counting on you and I, the old white, tired men of the world, of America, that we're gonna die and drift off, and they're gonna take over, and they know better. See, if our children don't know better, whatever color they are, we will lose this. And again, the lady yesterday that said it so articulately about in Hong Kong, in Asia, where those people were holding American flags, and they were thinking about, America and freedom.
Yes.
And here we take it for granted.
Absolutely.
And, we take everything for granted in America. And if we ever lose it, everything.
Well, I'll go back to what I said when I opened the program up this morning. The sign on a moving company van said, "If the flag of the United States offends you, if our national anthem makes you weak in the knees, please call us. We have teams of people that can help you pack up and leave."
Well, see, out of all of the presidential candidates, which one is patriotic and logical and practical? There isn't one. There's some that are a little bit, but you see, they still lean towards socialism and not free market capitalism.
Well, what does it mean to you as a listener and someone that's very concerned about this country for your family, your grandchildren, etc., when you hear numbers of 43%? This still blows my mind. 43% of the American public in favor of going to socialism? What does that mean to you when you hear that idiocy?
Well, first of all, they don't know what socialism is. And, Venezuela is an example, but Finland is right now a fresh example. And at the top of the hour, they're talking about the Prime Minister of Italy wanting to quit, and somebody else wanted to take his place. I don't remember Fox News, and I'm sorry, saying anything about what happened in Finland. I never heard it, but it happened. So, I don't know, Zeb.
Well, I'm frustrated just like you are, Randy, but I'm not going to quit. I mean, I'm sitting here, and every day we go over stories like the absolutely vile, worthless Congresswomen Tlaib and Omar. And if anybody takes offense at what I just said, I don't care. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are absolutely worthless. They are not American citizens as far as I'm concerned. They are not representing this great country of the United States. They are not worthy of sitting at a desk in our United States Congress. This is the problem. We're letting our country slide into an abyss.
Well, see, it's just like Simpson. He could say things. He could stand up for free market capitalism and the Constitution, but he just slithers around, and he doesn't do a thing. And see, he gets away with it. He just holds his head down, and all he cares about is getting reelected. He should resign today.
Well, all I can say about Mike Simpson is that silence is very, very telling when it comes to not mentioning anything about the disgusting, absolutely worthless Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, congresswomen that actually are siding with the enemy, siding with the Palestinians, and trying to do all they can to denigrate our number one ally, Israel. Mike, speak up, for heaven's sakes.
He's never going to do a thing. And yesterday somebody said, well, who keeps reelecting him? And I said, well, people, I guess you could say that the people of Idaho are forgiving. They forget. Maybe it's just easier to just cut in. And, well, who else are they going to vote for?
Yeah.
Nobody's running against him that you could... you might be safer with what you've got than what you may not have.
Oh, please don't phrase it like that. Thank you. Randy, I got to run, buddy. I appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Thanks. Evidently, what happened was, and Wheels, if you're listening, turn on your microphone. I want you to hear this, too, and respond. You did an absolutely wonderful job trying to run down Dan Kish. We just had some communication come in from back in Washington, D.C., and they said that Dan was going to be on very, very sketchy cell phone service, possibly not able to receive our calls. Evidently, that was true. And so for you and my wife, I want to say thank you for trying to bird dog him and try to find him this morning. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome, sir. I wish you would have known beforehand, but
Me too.
I'm glad that everything got situated, and hopefully he can come back next.
Did you ever notice how we always get the information about the guest being unavailable after the fact?
Yeah, isn't that crazy at how live radio works like that, like you were talking about a little bit ago?
Oh, my. Anyway, thank you for all your help. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Want to remind you about some other great people that are over there on Highway 24 going into Rupert, and I'm talking about Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Absolutely. These people are so dedicated and so responsive to your needs and very accessible, too. All you need to do is just give them a call, make an appointment, and they will and they can help you on all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call, please call them today, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Caller, real quick, I got about 2 minutes before my next guest. Go ahead, please.
Well, that's all I got to talk about. I want to talk about the Kajikana Fair.
All right, real quick.
My grandkids took a whole bunch of flowers and pictures into the fair, and they went to collect the money on the end of it, and they only got half of it, what they're supposed to have coming. And so they kept it going, but they were shorted about $70 between the two of them. And I wonder how many other people were shorted the same way that didn't keep track of what they had coming. It was very frustrating. And you notice that there wasn't any flowers, or very few flowers, and very few pictures, and very few vegetable things put in the fair this year. People are just not going to the Kansas County Fair. Rupert had a real good turnout.
Well, you know, you've kind of caught me on an issue that I do not know about. I do not know about paying off the premiums for the various placings. I am not aware of this, but if anybody has information, they're more than welcome to call, and we'll put it on the radio, and we'll find out more. And, sir, I appreciate your call.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you.
Bye.
That's what this program is for. If there's something that is a little bit of a discrepancy or whatever, we'll try to find out. And so I appreciate that man giving us a call. And if anybody else knows of a problem with the paying off of the premiums at the fair, Let us know. We'll talk about it on the air, and we'll find out the answers, okay? Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and Wheels, just tell me up front, did we hit a home run with this one, or do we have another problem?
No, I have him on the phone and ready for you, sir.
You're a good man, McGee. Thank you. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the phone line, and we're going to be visiting with a former senior fellow at the National Center for Public Policy Research and author of the book called Medicare's Victims. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. David Hogberg. Sir, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you, sir?
There was hesitation with the You're not sure how you are this morning?
Well, the coffee's just kicked in. I'm feeling better, so, I'll know more in a little while.
You're kind of like I am. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I reserve the first hour from 4 until 5 to at least start feeling like I'm alive with that cup of coffee. Let me ask you a little bit about your book, first and foremost. The book, of course, Medicare's Victims, How the United States Government's Largest Healthcare Programs Harms Patients and Impairs Physicians. Wow, that says it all. Tell us a little bit about what's in your book.
Well, sure. The reason I wrote the book is one of the reasons. I was always very curious as to why Medicare was a fairly popular program. It does pretty well in opinion polls. You don't usually think of government programs being that popular. No one likes going, say, to the Department of Motor Vehicles. And as I dug into it, basically what I found is that its main beneficiaries, those aged 65 and older, actually have quite a bit of political power. For example, people aged 65 to 74 vote at rates higher than just about anybody else. And so, politicians, members of Congress are going to make sure that Medicare does a pretty good job of serving the needs of seniors because, politicians don't want a lot of angry seniors showing up to the voting booth on election day. However, once you start getting away from, the over 65 group, and start looking at other groups who are on Medicare that lack that kind of political power, it can become a different story. For example, the disabled who have access to Medicare but have to endure a 2-year wait period to get onto Medicare, and it's been that way since they were given access to Medicare since 1973. And why is that? Why has it never been shortened? Why do you have disabled people who are often uninsured during that period? They can have trouble meeting their medical bills and so forth. Well, the fact of the matter is the disabled don't have anywhere near the political power that seniors do. They don't vote at rates higher. They vote at rates rates much lower than seniors. And their lobbying efforts, the groups that lobby on behalf of the disabled in Washington, they have over 100 different programs at the federal level that concern them. So their lobbying efforts are not focused. They're not, they're kind of scattered. And as opposed to, say, groups that lobby on behalf of seniors like the AARP, they only have 2 issues that concern them, Social Security and Medicare, and that makes it much easier for them to focus their efforts. So if you lack political power under Medicare, how good you have it under Medicare is going to be, an entirely different story as opposed to those who tend to be, ages 65 and older.
Dr. Hegberg, do you go into Medicaid at all in your book and break down the differences between the programs?
Yeah, I don't really spend much time on Medicaid in the book. It's, I was looking, when I wrote the book, I was kind of looking for a challenge in terms of looking for problems. Medicaid is not a particularly popular program. And it does not, people tend to have much more trouble finding healthcare providers under Medicaid than Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
That's one difference. Medicaid is primarily for people who are poor. They are under a certain percentage of the poverty line. Like I already said, people tend to have more trouble finding providers under Medicaid because it pays at much lower rates than Medicare does. And why is that? Well, that's in part because, the people that Medicare serves have a lot of political power, and, if they start having a lot of trouble finding health care providers, politicians are going to hear about it, and they will be forced to do something about it. The other thing about Medicaid is it is a combination of state government dollars and federal government dollars. It's a sort of a matching system. So those are the main differences.
Let me ask you this. On the information sheet that was sent to me, Dr. Hochberg, in regards to having you on my program, the first 5 or 6 words really hit me in the face, and it said, the Medicare war is upon us. You use the terminology war. How do you discern how big a problem this is going to be from now into the future? What do you mean war?
Well, there's a couple of, fronts in that war. Oh, by the way, feel free to call me David. You don't have to give me a formal title. Well, there's a couple of fronts. One is, a lot of the Democrats running for Congress are pushing Medicare for all, and that's going to be that could, even though I doubt they're going to succeed this time around, they're certainly going to push it, I think, in the future. As I already talked about, lacking political power, well, under nationalized health care systems, it's often the sickest people who lack political power. There are not very many of them in a given year, so they don't, amount to much at the voting booth, and they're not going to be doing the sorts of things like organizing and protesting and so forth that can make changes in the political system and in the healthcare system when it's nationalized, because they're sick. And that's why you see, for example, in places like Canada or Great Britain that have, the nationalized single-payer systems, that people who need things like heart surgery, cancer treatment, hip and knee replacement, why they have to endure very long waiting periods, often months, sometimes years before they receive treatment, because there's really no political pressure to push more resources toward the people that genuinely need a great deal of health care. So that's one thing that we could face here in the U.S. I think the other thing is just that Medicare, because so many baby boomers are retiring, it's just it increases its pressure on the federal budget, and eventually there's going to be kind of a Medicare war, I think, on how to reform it so that it saves money, or at least doesn't cost as much. So I think that's probably where, when you say, when the press release says that the Medicare war is upon us, that's where I really think that's what we mean by that.
Yeah, but David, let me throw some points at you. You're very articulate about this problem. Let's talk about it this way. Number one, the idiocy, and that's what it is, and incompetency, and that's what it is, of like the state of California saying they're going to offer Medicare to all, including illegal aliens. I don't want to blame any segment of our tax-paying public, our citizens, for any problems with Medicare when the idiots in California are going to give it away free to people that aren't even supposed to be in this country.
Yeah, I grew up in California, and I actually left there about 25 years ago, and I've never really regretted it. I left just before the state went insane. Correlation or causation, who knows? But yeah, look, I'm perfectly fine with a state that I don't live in trying to do something like, government-run health care. If they want to give that a go, fine. We've got I don't know about fine, but we've got a federal system, right? We have state governments that are supposed to be semi-independent from the national government. If the state wants to give that a go, go ahead. The rest of us can learn from it. We can figure out whether or not it works, or, as probably will be the case, it will not work. It will bust their budget. People will get lousy health care on it, and we can learn what not to do. So if they want to go ahead with that, fine. It would be a prime example of the idiocy of turning to a system of nationalized health care.
The thing that I am so afraid of right now, Doctor, and you know better than I because you are in the medical business, but I see our health...
I'm sorry, I got to stop you there. I apologize, but the doctor's actually a PhD. I study healthcare policy, but I'm not actually a medical doctor.
All right, I appreciate the definition. Thank you. Okay, David, the thing I'm scared of, though, is that our healthcare system in this United States of America is on the edge of a cliff. Its boot heels are tipping into the Grand Canyon, and we've got the liberals with the single-payer attitude and everything trying to tip it into that canyon. We're going to be losing doctors. We're going to be losing all the research money. We're going to be losing so much in this country that has made our healthcare number one in the world. We'll never get it back.
Well, I can't completely disagree with you, and then the problem isn't just the liberals that want to push us towards single payer. It's that you've got kind of squishy, and might say conservatives and weak-kneed Republicans who are too often willing to go along with at least part of it. If I may, I just want to briefly mention the Lower Health Care Costs Act, which is currently before the Senate, a bill before the Senate, and is being pushed, among other people, by Senator Lamar Alexander, Republican from Tennessee. This bill is supposed to protect patients from unexpected medical bills that result from emergency care that they receive that's out of network. That is, that their insurer doesn't cover. But what the bill and how the bill is supposed to achieve that is through a price control. It will force insurers to pay the median price they pay for a service when one of their patients gets a service that's out of network. So say, for example, you end up in the hospital, your doctor comes by to pay you a visit. If that visit is not covered by the insurer then has to pay the doctor the median price it pays to all doctors for that service. Well, if you think about it, this gives insurers two rather perverse incentives to get rid of their higher-priced providers. Mm-hmm. By getting rid of higher-priced doctors, they lower the median price they pay for a service goes lower. And second, by eliminating some of their higher-priced doctors from their networks, well, those doctors then become out of network. So if a patient who has that insurer goes to visit one of the doctors, one of those doctors that's now out of network, the insurance company pays them the median price instead of the higher price they paid. You may have paid them when they were still in network. And if this bill passes, you're going to see kind of a repeat of Obamacare. You remember President Obama's big lie, one of his big lies, that if you like your doctor, you could keep your doctor. And what happened when Obamacare came into effect in 2014, people found out that their doctors were not covered by their insurance plans. Well, this could repeat that to a great degree. If insurers have incentive to remove their higher-priced providers, their higher-priced doctors, people are going to find again that all of a sudden their doctors are not covered by their insurance companies, and it's another case of if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Oh wait, no, we weren't serious about that.
David, let me ask you this question, and I don't know if you have an answer to this or not, but looking backward instead of forward, how did we get in this mess? Why did we as an American public allow this problem to fester and turn into the cancer that it is with the high costs and the prescription costs and everything? What happened that we let this thing lay for years and years and all of a sudden it jumped up and bit us like a snake?
Well, it is, and actually I can turn this kind of into an answer as to what to do to reverse it as well. It's basically, you have to understand the tactics of the political left over decades when it comes to health care. And it's very easy for conservatives, Republicans, and so forth to think it's big things like the passage of Medicare and Medicaid back in the 60s or the passage of Obamacare, about a decade ago. It's not, all right? Those big legislative efforts are rare. What the left has done very effectively over decades is make small changes, small or maybe medium-sized changes, so it's kind of incremental government creep encroaching into the healthcare system. And, it's kind of like the proverbial frog in the pot of water and, doesn't realize he's cooked until the water's boiling kind of thing. It has not been, for the most part, large, big, massive changes to the healthcare system that has gotten us to this point. It has been small, incremental changes that build up over time. But, with these small changes, it's very hard, one, to see them before they're there. And second, generally there's not many people objecting to them like there was with Obamacare, and because of that, it almost failed. I think Republicans, what they should do is follow that approach, follow the small ball approach. One thing they could do right now, or that President Trump could push in his next presidential campaign, is a market-based reform for small businesses. Small businesses, because of Obamacare, are having more and more trouble affording health insurance for the employees. So have a bill targeted at small businesses that would allow small businesses to fund large health savings accounts for their employees. And you would put a cap on it, maybe $8,000 or $7,000 per employee. Small businesses that could not afford a health insurance plan could afford to put a few $1,000s for their employees in those accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Give the employees the ability to buy insurance out of that account, pay for health care directly out of that account, and let them take those accounts to any employer they want to after they leave that small business. So if they
Absolutely.
go to a big business, the big business will have the option of funding that account instead of buying health insurance for them.
So
now, what this does is it gets the free market camel his nose under the tent. These health savings accounts turn patients into consumers. They're going to be getting lower cost health care, better quality health care. And then, individuals will start saying, well, how come it's only for small business? Big businesses will say, oh, hey, how come this is only for small business? This is a good system. Why can't we have it? It's a small ball approach as well, which would make it harder for Democrats and people on the left to successfully attack it. That's where we should go, something like that, and that would be a way to get us to a more market-based healthcare system, one that does a much better job of lowering costs and improving care.
In layman's terminology, what you're just laying out is kind of and correct me if you think I'm wrong, a re-stimulation of insurance competition, which is going to better the insured's capability of getting the best coverage.
Well, not just insurance competition, but you're right, but also more competition among just healthcare providers.
Right.
You can pay for your healthcare directly out of a health savings account. I think you'd see a lot more primary care physicians go to sort of a cash-only approach, which I think is far more effective in terms of getting us good primary care than having insurers and Medicare pay for it. You would reduce costs by getting rid of a lot of the medical coders that primary care has to pay for, but yes, it would increase the competition among insurers. It would increase the competition among healthcare providers. A re-stimulation is a good way of thinking about it.
Would this be out of the realm of feasibility with the left and their push for the single payer and the destruction of insurance companies except through government control? Or is there a chance that this could come back with a resurgence for better health care coverage?
Well, again, I think the political right kind of has to play small ball because that's what the political left has done. And right now, I think the answer to that question is no, because the left really thinks that they are on the cusp of a single-payer system, and I don't necessarily think they're wrong about that. So why make any compromises with the political right? When they'll start to compromise when they start to lose and our side starts to win. But to get there, you've got to kind of play the small ball approach, something that can be easily passed by just Republicans and maybe a few moderate to conservative Democrats coming along in the House and the Senate, although granted, there's not very many of those left anymore. But something that can pass, that's very easy to pass, legislation that's fairly easy to pass and can get the ball rolling. Again, the small ball approach.
Let me ask you one final thought. I'm almost out of time, but where is the incentive? Where is the drive and the desire for young people to get involved in the medicine industry, whether it's research or becoming doctors and nurses? We're taking that away from them right now under the current programs and the possibility of single payer. How do we re-implement a resurgence of more good people getting into medicine?
Well, again, we need more market-based approaches to healthcare. When people can, they face less government rules and regulations, you're going to get the more creative, energetic, ambitious types going into it when they can practice medicine as they see fit in ways that they think best helps their patients instead of having to constantly follow the bureaucratic rules of government and insurance companies. And one of the ways we get there is with patients controlling the healthcare dollars, able to pay doctors directly, and you'll bypass insurance companies, leave insurance companies to pay just the very large ticket items. But we're a ways away from that, and I think you're probably right. I mean, I think the smarter, the more ambitious, the more creative people are probably increasingly eschewing going into medicine. They have a lot of talent; they can go elsewhere, and they will.
I really find you to be interesting and very informative, Dr. David Hogberg, and thank you for your time this morning. God bless you, and I hope you'll consent to coming back in the future.
Oh, absolutely. I think probably sometime early next year I'm going to have an op-ed fleshing out the small business proposal a little more, and I'd love to come back and talk about it.
I would look forward to it. Sir, have a wonderful day. Thank you for your time this morning.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, sir. Dr. David Hogberg, a former senior fellow at the National Center for Public Policy Research, also the author of Medicare's Victims, How the United States Government's Largest Health Care Programs Harms Patients and Impairs Physicians. Thank you for being on the program. My goodness sakes, look at the clock, Zeb. My old buddy Wheels over there is saying we got to get a weather forecast on. Yes, we do. Weather brought to you this hour by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. They are the best at what they do. Professionals helping you with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. I urge you to get a hold of them. They've got offices in Burley and Rupert. Here's the locations: 1710 Overland and Burley and 620 5th Street in Rupert. The best serving you, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be another warm one. Here's a look at your weather forecast, and it's going to be sunny for today, so make sure you grab that water bottle and that sunscreen. We are expecting a high of 94 tonight, nice and clear with a low of 56. Tomorrow, another warm day, sunny skies, low 90s. Overnight lows are going to be right around 60. For Thursday, looks like some clouds are going to be rolling into the valley, and we're going to be cooling off just a little bit. Partly cloudy skies with a high of 82, overnight low of 51. Then for Friday, back to sunny skies in mid-80s. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7th Ranch.
Appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. And brought to you this hour by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. As I said, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Please let them help you, your family, and your business. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Wow. One other quick note that coming up in just about, 10, 15 minutes, our dear friend Dr. History is going to be on the program with us this morning. We always look forward to a half hour with him every Tuesday, so don't miss that. Stay by the radio. Our friends over at Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley, we want to say a great big shout out to your electronic needs headquarters. Curtis and Lorena and the rest of the staff are over there to serve you, and they've got more than just electronics too. They've got the steel hitches, 3 to 9 inch drop, and they've got all the closeout on the power cords. And don't forget too, you can buy a 6.2 screen stereo for your car and receive a rear view license plate camera for free. Whoa! Better stop in there today at Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley, or give them a call at 678-6997. That number again, 678-6997, and that's Patterson's. And the best of all your electronic needs, open Monday through Saturday 9 to 6, Patterson's in Burley. Woo! Busy, busy day. Now, a reminder. This is my reminder that we are going to be over at Denny's Restaurant on Thursday at 11:30. Now, for those of you that have never been at Lunch Bunch, we urge you to come on in. There's nothing you have to join or anything like that. Just come on in and sit down, order a meal, be with us, and we're going to give away a whole bunch of door prizes, gift certificates, and everything. And it's just a big, old, happy family, and I urge everybody to be there at 11:30 this Thursday. And we want to say thank you to Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, and, of course, Denny's for all the gift certificates we're going to give away. So be there at America's Diner this Thursday at 11:30 for Zeb's Lunch Bunch. We will see you there. Quick note, I've got a couple of things I've got to mention here. The end of summer barbecue is going to be on September 7th at the Minidoka County Senior Center. Don't forget, tickets are $10 per person. Only 100 tickets are going to be sold. Call the Senior Center at 436-9107. That number again, 436-9107 for that end of summer barbecue at the Minidoka County Senior Center. And coming up next week, we're going to be talking to George Mass about the 4th annual Patriotic Show and Shine on the Rupert Square. Patriots Day, Friday, September 13th. Car show on the 14th. Lots and lots of fun, and it's all free. Right now, we're going to take a little break as we hear the door opening up momentarily with Dr. History coming up for the next segment on our program. We urge you to stay tuned right here. Zeb at the Ranch. Wheels, take us away, please. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tuesday morning, hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of safe driving tires, and of course some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And don't forget to Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. I'm a little bit scared to say anything at all to this gentleman because he walked into the studio with what might be construed a look of complete disdain on his face. So I'm going to say, good morning, sir. I hope you're having a better day.
Well, it's going to get better. It's going to get better.
Did you have a slight problem?
I just was in a hurry to get here.
I see.
And that's all. I'm going to leave it at that.
God bless you, man. God bless you.
Yeah,
hey, listen, comments of last week's program, one of your best. People really enjoyed that.
Good.
I wanted to pass that along to you.
Good.
Okay. What are we going to talk about this morning?
Before we get going, I just want to say hi to a couple of people. Joshua in River Falls, Wisconsin.
Really? That's back in my old neck of the woods.
They were down in Lincoln, New Mexico, and took some pictures they sent me, so I appreciate that.
Lincoln in the area of Billy the Kid.
Right. Yeah, they were down there. Don, also a guy named Lance, who is an author of Western Stories, and a guy named Joy, who is down in Old Town in Texas. So just say hi to those guys for their comments to me.
Well, now the people from Wisconsin, did they email you or something?
Yeah.
Really?
On my webpage, you can just go there and hit comments, and those go directly to my email.
What was the story that they emailed you about?
They just told about their trip.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
down to Billy the Kid land.
Yeah. Yep.
My gosh, I haven't talked to anybody from back in my old home state for a long time.
Yeah, good people.
Yeah.
Anyway, today, so we're going to talk about John Wesley Powell, which is pretty well known.
I thought you were going to say John Wesley Hardin.
No. Powell.
Oh.
John Wesley Powell.
Okay.
So, he was born in 1834. He was actually a U.S. soldier. He was a geologist and explorer of the American West. He was actually a professor at the Illinois Wesleyan University, director of a major scientific and cultural institutions. So this guy was really quite a scholar.
Why have I never heard of him?
Colorado River expedition. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew you.
Yes,
I knew
yes,
you
yes.
had. But so he was born in Mount Morris, New York, in 1834. The son of a poor itinerant preacher who had immigrated to the U.S. from England in 1830. His family moved west to Jackson, Ohio, then to Wisconsin, then to Illinois. But he was quite an adventuresome young man. He kind of took a few adventuresome activities. He hiked through the Mississippi River Valley. In 1855, he spent 4 months walking across Wisconsin.
There we go again. Everybody's leaving Wisconsin or going through it.
And 1856, he actually rowed a boat called the Mississippi from St. Anthony, Minnesota to the ocean. In 1857, he rode down the Ohio River from Pittsburgh to the Mississippi River.
Wow.
He rode down the Illinois River, then up the Mississippi River and the Des Moines River to central Iowa. And at age 25, he was elected to the Illinois Natural History Society. So,
yeah, but did he ever do anything with his life?
I think we'll get to that.
Okay.
So here he is at the Battle of Shiloh.
Oh, my.
Revolutionary Civil War. He lost most of his right arm when he was struck by a ball in the process of giving the order to fire for his men.
Oh.
So actually lost the lower part of his right arm.
Of his right arm?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, in fact, there's a statue of one-armed John Wesley Powell in front of the Sweetwater County Museum in Green River, Wyoming. And
now, I've been there, and I've never noticed that.
Yeah, so there's a statue of him right there, and that's kind of where his expedition started when he launched his first boats on his expedition down the Colorado.
And he did that with the one arm.
Yeah. Yep. So, anyway, Powell and his expedition pushed into the Green River on May 24th, 1869. Okay, a long time ago. They had 4 boats. They had one called the Emma Dean, which was a 16-foot pine boat, and 3 21-foot oak boats. One was called the Maid of Honor, another one was called No Name, and another one is called Kitty Clyde's Sister.
Kitty
Clyde's sister. So where they came up with those, there's got to be a story behind those, right? Anyway, so preparing for a long journey, they had rations to last 10 months, plus a good amount of gear, including sextants, chronometers, barometers, thermometers, and compasses, all needed because he was going to measure and for the topographical calculations as to...
You went through that very well, by the way.
Thank you. It wasn't easy. So in the party were Paul's brother, a guy named Walter, a guy named O.G. Howland and his brother Seneca, Jack Summer and William Dunn. Both were experienced Rocky Mountain hunters. So this was, I think, a good move on his part. Plus a guy named Andrew Hall, another hunter by the name of George Bradley, who was a former Union soldier, a boatman by the name of Frank Goodman, and another guy named Billy Hawkins, who was also a former Union soldier.
How big were these boats, by the way?
Well, 21. One was 16, the other 3 were 21 feet. Whoa. So not big boats. Okay, to fit all these guys and their gear and food for 10 months. So the route, if you look at a map today, it goes from Green River on U.S. Highway 191 in south central Wyoming.
Right.
Then the Green River, which backs up into what is now Flaming Gorge in northern Utah. Right. And then if you follow Route 1364 and Colorado Highway 318 into Browns Park, which is kind of northwest Colorado, that corner over in there, to the gates of Lodore, back into Utah, and down through kind of by the Dinosaur National Monument. So that's kind of the area we're looking at, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah. But anyway, as Powell's boats approached the Lodore Canyon on June 9th, Powell was in the lead. He saw some rough water, and he pulled his boat to the shore, and he signaled the others. But the no-name crew weren't able to stop, so they continued into the rapids.
Oh.
So the rough waters, the rapids of the Green, hammered this boat against boulders and into the rapids. The boat was swamped, and it threw the Howland brothers and Goodman, 3 of the guys, into these rapids, this water. Not I tell you, Zeb, I have floated the middle fork of the Salmon River.
I have too.
And I got thrown out, and I wishing I had on 2 life jackets.
When we went underwater, you go underwater in some of that, your raft. And there was a lot of times while I'm underwater holding onto that rope that I said, gee, I wished I was at a picnic at my backyard.
I agree. That water was cold. Anyway. So I have a healthy respect for this, what they were doing. Anyway, the 3 men actually survived, but they lost all their clothes, guns, a large amount of food, all the barometers, and these instruments were essential to the expedition. And after a search the following day, the party found the boat, which of course was wrecked, and they actually managed to recover the barometers, some thermometers, and even a keg of whiskey the men had stashed without
the most important thing,
without Powell's knowledge. He didn't know, but it survived.
I see.
So now, if you stop in Vernal, Utah for a visit to the Utah Fieldhouse of Natural History State Park Museum, you can go in there and see a lot of the stuff that Powell did.
Oh, what about the items? Are some of the items in the...
I've never been there, but I gather that there are some things in that museum, yeah. Now, if you drive through, the route takes you through Canyon, Pintado National Historic Area, and the Painted Canyon route was named in 1776 by Fathers Dominguez and Escalante, and when they saw dozens of examples of ancient American Indian rock art as they traveled to California on the old Spanish Trail. And the rocks still tell the stories of the early people, but anyway, you continue west and south through Green River, Utah, home of, that's actually where the John Wesley Powell Museum is. So I suspect most of the things he had would be in that museum, and maybe some other things in the other museums. So here we have the confluence of the Green River and the Grand, or the Colorado, which is southwest of Moab, Utah. And you've probably been to Moab, kind of on the eastern central part of Utah.
Right.
But on June 28, 1869, Powell's 3 remaining boats were at the mouth of the Uinta, or they call it now the Duchesne River, in Utah.
Right.
Frank Powell and Andy Hall took letters and headed to Uinta Agency, some 30 miles away. Well, they rejoined the expedition, and they all set off down the river, and they faced unexpected rapids and named the features along the route. And now, a lot of this is actually part of Canyonlands National Park. And have you ever driven down that way, Canyonlands, Dead Horse Point?
Yep.
I mean, there's some amazing...
They used to film a lot of movies down there.
Right, and there's some Anasazi and cliff dwellings that you can go visit that are really fascinating. But anyway, they headed down what they call Canyon of Desolation, and then another one called Dirty Devil River, Sumner's Amphitheater, Gray Canyon, Stillwater Canyon, Whirlpool Canyon, and Bright Angel Creek.
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Did they at any time run out of, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, run out of water or enough water to float those boats to where they had to transport on land?
It doesn't say that they did. So I'm just going to assume, but because of the tributaries coming in there, that they had plenty of water. So I don't think it ever got low enough that they had to haul the boats.
Those boats would have been heavy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 21 foot made out of oak, yeah. Well, anyway, like the Green River near the Wyoming-Utah border, the waters of the river, which is now the main stream of the Colorado River, back up behind Glen Canyon Dam at Page. Okay, Lake Powell, of course, is named for John Wesley Powell, and the lake waters have, filled in the canyons and the crevices, providing access to areas otherwise impossible to reach. So the dams have filled in a lot of the things that Powell saw. Now, in Page, there's also a Powell Museum, and you can view the exhibits at the Glen Canyon Dam Visitor Center.
Yeah, I've been there.
Okay, so there's... all along here, there are things that you can stop in and see at some of these museums. But the river changes as it pours out of Lake Powell and toward the Grand Canyon. On August 9th, 1869, here's what Powell said. He said, "The walls of the canyon are of marble of many beautiful colors, often polished by the waves, and sometimes far up the sides where showers have washed the sands over the cliffs. That must have been an amazing scene, don't you think, to see that in its natural beauty at that time?
And how many people were on that tour? Probably, 14, 15, you said, or in that area?
Uh-huh.
I mean, that has to be a scary undertaking, to be going into waters that you don't know, rapids you don't know.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyway, 4 days later, on August 13, here's what he said. He said, "We are now ready to start on our way down the great unknown. We have an unknown distance yet to run and an unknown river to explore." So they must have had a little bit of knowledge as they started. So, but now they're getting into where nobody knew what they were going to run into.
Oh, my goodness.
So at what was named Separation Rapid, also called Separation Canyon, the Howland brothers and a guy named William Dunn left the expedition.
Oh, wait a minute. They walked away?
Yeah, they left. I think they were done. So
where did they go?
Good question. Now, I've heard that they, and I should have checked that out better, but I heard that they were actually killed by Indians.
Well, I was going to say, because you're talking about an era of 1869 in that area where there was a lot of unfriendly tribes out there.
Right, yeah. So they left, and I'm not exactly sure what happened, but now here Powell abandoned another boat, the Emma Dean. It was battered, it was no longer watertight, and with fewer men, there was not enough men to man the oars, and the supplies had dwindled. So there was no need for the boat to haul them. So they're down to two 21-foot boats. Now, science was really no longer the focus of the journey because all the instruments were either broken or lost. So on August 29th, 1869, Powell's 3-month, 900-mile river journey neared its end when the boats drifted from beneath the Grand Wash cliffs of the Grand Canyon to where there's more rolling hills and mountains than the caverns and the cliffs.
Now, is this all part of the Colorado at this time?
Yeah, it's still heading down that way. Yeah. So, and here's what Powell wrote. He said, "The river rolls by us in silent majesty. The quiet of the camp is sweet. Our joy is almost ecstasy." And you can imagine, after what they've been through, to have maybe a smooth river for a while, probably they were probably glad.
Yeah.
Anyway, departing from the river 2 days later, Powell and his remaining men, now they traveled overland north to Salt Lake City, which they reached in September.
Question.
Okay.
Horses?
Well, there were settlers down through there. If you get down into like St. George, Cedar City,
all right.
I don't know how far.
Okay.
Las Vegas was probably barely still just a watering hole.
Yeah, well, they could have stopped into Samstown or whatever.
They could have, wherever that is. Yeah. So they made their way to Salt Lake City in September. Now, Powell would return to the river a few years later in 1871, 2 years later. And he made a second expedition that was far better documented. And this time, Powell had photographers, a guy named Beeman and a guy named Jack Hillers as part of the crew. So it was he was much better prepared. He knew what was going to happen. But he actually died at the family cottage in Haven, Maine on September 23rd, 1902 of a cerebral hemorrhage following a stroke 8 months earlier, from which he actually never did really recover. Emma, his wife, was present with Mary, their only child, who was then 31 years old. Now, so he was married, and actually he did some exploring before all the Colorado stuff, and his wife Emma actually went with him on some of these Western expeditions.
Were there any pictures or paintings or anything that depicted what they saw?
Yeah, the last guy the second time they went, they had this guy named Beeman. And he was a photographer.
He was pretty well famous.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember seeing and reading about him.
And the book I looked at and got a lot of this from, it did have some sketches as well as some actual photographs.
Yeah, didn't he do a lot of the frontier-type town photography, etc.?
Yeah, he was famous for some of those things.
Yeah.
But folks, if you want an interesting book to read, there's a book called The Emerald Mile. All right, and this was written in 1984. Do you remember when you had that high water all through the West? Remember when the Oakley Canal almost overflowed, and down through Utah, Wyoming, we had that really high water. The Colorado was higher than it had ever been, and there were some guides that wanted to set a new record for the trip that they took people down. So against the rules and regulations of the Forest Service or the BLM or whoever, they snuck onto the river, and they made this trip in, I want to say, I can't remember, like 28 hours of rowing these longboats, and they did get dumped in one of the huge rapids. But the thing that's interesting is it talks about the Glen Canyon Dam, and they had to let a lot of water go through the spillway tunnels, and as this was happening, they were letting as much go as they could, and they heard cavitation, this rumbling underground through these tunnels on each side of the dam. And later they realized that they could have lost the Glen Canyon Dam there in 1984. And when the water went down, they went into these tunnels that had been lined with cement on each side, and the cement and the rock had been eroded and chewed away to make the tunnels twice as big as they normally should have been. So it was a close call for that Glen Canyon Dam.
Wow.
So the book is called The Emerald Mile, and really an interesting read because it does talk a bit about Powell and the river, and anyway, just an interesting book.
Kind of like right here, less than a mile from my place, we talk about the fur trappers that were lost in the Snake River and everything.
Right, that was the Wilson Price Hunt expedition
over here, and all of a sudden I forgot the name of the
Cauldron Lynn.
The Cauldron Lynn. And wouldn't it be interesting, honestly, and I know you've probably thought of this, like with the river traffic and the losing of the ships and all their scientific equipment and their guns and everything, if all of a sudden, bang, the water was drained and you could see all this stuff?
And actually, quite a few years ago, the Snake River went down low enough that they did actually go out there and find some guns and some traps.
Oh, you're kidding me. I didn't know that.
And I don't know what happened to those or if they're in a museum. But
whereabouts was that?
Just below the Cauldron Lynn, where
really?
The one guy that was with him, his name was Antoine Clapier.
Yeah.
He drowned.
In the Cauldron Lynn.
Right, yeah. His boat went under.
His body's probably still there.
It could.
Well,
yeah, I mean, it really probably is.
There's no way out.
Yeah, and if you go down there, which you have and I have during high water.
I went down one time at high water, and it's like I said, it's a mile from my place, but you don't want to walk close.
You don't. I mean, it's spooky.
Absolutely.
And I know there are some guys that thought, even in our day, that they could do that in kayaks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's dangerous.
It is.
Very. And for all of our Eastern friends and people across the country that are listening, believe me, if you saw it, you'd back up and go, I ain't going near there.
Well, and just below that, of course, is the Twin Falls and the Shoshone Falls.
Yeah, very dangerous.
And the Shoshone Falls is the one that is actually higher than Niagara.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful when there's high water.
The river traffic and the research of all they did in the West, it just makes you wonder, it's sad that there's not more documentation.
Right. Now, the Burley Parade, the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo this past week, okay, in the parade, a friend of mine named Mark Hobson has rebuilt a Stars Ferry.
No kidding.
He has rebuilt the ferry
the one that actually was on the river.
Right, that went across, right, just not close to where we're at right now.
Wow.
And he had that in the parade, and I'm going to get over there and take a look at that ferry.
Did you get a picture of it?
I'm not sure if I did or not.
Bring that next week if you did.
But I'm going to get together with Mark and talk about it and the story behind it. And
how did he get the actual dimensions and everything?
I'm not sure. I know there's information about it, but and I have some, but I'm going to look at that.
We got to get him on the program.
Yeah, Mark would be great to visit with about because before the bridges, of course, that was how they got back and forth across the Snake River, just a few miles from where we're at.
Oh, can you imagine all the material that's in that portion of the river?
Oh, yeah.
That got spilled over?
Well, the drownings and the horses and the wagons.
Goodness sakes.
But anyway, pretty fascinating story about
that. Was a good story, and that was the guy by the name of Powell, John Wesley Powell.
Born in 1834, died in 1902. Soldier, geologist, explorer, professor.
Wow.
And major scientific guy.
Really interesting.
So the thing that is nice about this is you had a scientific person doing the observations, whereas a lot of the explorers, they went through and they made notes, like Lewis and Clark. They made a lot of notes about their expedition because they were kind of like scientists, really. So, But some of the other trappers, they didn't really know that much about scientific knowledge, I guess, if you want to say.
Man, you're really into this. I can see you light up like a Christmas tree.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
I have never had a chance to go down the Colorado, but I would if I had a chance.
Well, I'll guarantee you, maybe you just better concentrate on getting here to the studio.
We'll leave that unsaid.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
You know, excellent job. I really found that interesting.
Well, I enjoyed that.
I wonder if a lot of this stuff, material, the old kegs, maybe some of the old material, does it ever wash up on beaches anywhere?
Well, I know that along the river there are arrowheads that year after year, somehow with the way the water moves and the sand and the gravel, that sometimes walking along the river, people have found arrowheads or scrapers or whatever.
You are really interesting. Thank you. I've got to do a commercial. Don't leave because I need to visit with you for a second. But ladies and gentlemen, a great big round of applause nationwide for Dr. History. Great job. Thank you very much. Right now, I want to remind everybody that Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living on Alfresco Road welcomes you, seniors, to really lead and live a good life with your friends right there at Greystone Crossing. I urge you to call Kelly and Matt Wiggins at 650-4979 and find out more. Make an appointment to see all the surroundings. They're going to be at our lunch bunch on Thursday, and they're going to be talking to our lunch bunchers, and after it's over, we're going to go over and they're going to have an open house at Greystone Crossing from 12:30 to 4 p.m. on this Thursday. Don't miss it. Going to be a lot of fun. Super nice people. Greystone Crossing, Independent Senior Living on Alfresco Road. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, my goodness sakes, good morning on a Tuesday, August 20th. Where did the calendar go? My goodness, kids going back to school. Drive carefully, folks. Watch out for them. They're not going to be watching out for you. We're really blessed to have this hour a lady that I've heard on Sean Hannity's radio program, and rather than me give her a great big build-up and say all kinds of wonderful things, I'm going to let her come on in here and say good morning and tell us about herself. Rose Tennant, good morning. How are you?
Hi, Zeb. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, I am doing 110 miles an hour in a 65-mile zone. We're just doing a great, weather's good. Everything couldn't be better. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do, Rose, if you would, please.
Well, thanks, Zeb. I'm happy to. Yeah, I'm 20-some years of radio experience, and you know that's a lot of work every day, but we do it proudly and we do it happily because we feel like we're really contributing to future generations and preserving the Constitution and our liberties. So it's something that we both really can get behind. I'm sure you agree with me. But also, in addition to that, you know, it's funny because you mentioned Sean Hannity. I happened to be sitting in for him one afternoon, and his producer, Linda, had booked Don Buckner for the show, and she asked if I would interview him. I'm so glad. You know how things work out. You know, it's never by coincidence, but things worked out, and I just fell in love with this guy and what he's doing for America and what he's doing for businesses in America. And he had originally owned a company called Vactron, and it was this vacuum excavation company. They cleaned out critical areas. It was a really unique business. But at one point, he was able to sell the company and do something that he's always wanted to do, and that was to establish this MadeInAmerica.com organization. So he really has a heart for businesses in this country, particularly manufacturers and those who use materials and, you know, and products that are made right here in this country.
Rose, what happened, in your opinion, to the United States and pride in the United States, pride and integrity of what we can do, what we can invent, what we can further? I mean, all of this was going along for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden the leftist thought came in and we started shipping and putting things overseas and expecting them to take care of us. What happened?
You know, isn't that interesting? For some reason, we lost that sense of pride in this country, or it was suggested that there was something wrong to be proud about your company, and yet that is absolutely false. When you think about, Zeb, our brothers and sisters, relatives, neighbors, friends who are benefiting now from a new focus on keeping jobs in America, keeping work in America. What's wrong with that? I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, when you think about it, you just made me think of something. Zeb, when you think about it, our founding fathers came over here. They were innovators. They were entrepreneurs. They all shared a deep-rooted history in this country. And these are people that were looking for new opportunities when they came here, and they were clearly willing to take risks, not unlike many of the business people in this country. It's a huge risk. But the whole idea of independence at the time of our founding fathers was risky business because they escaped a culture. I don't know about some of your listeners, but I love watching Downton Abbey and Poldark and all those period pieces. But the same theme is throughout all of them, and that is that in Europe for a very long time, people were not expected to be genius or successful unless they were born to the right family, the ruling classes, the royal families, the bloodlines. And that's what defined greatness. And we know that not all of them really actually had anything to contribute to society. But when our founding fathers left that, they left that in an effort to establish freedom somewhere where you had that liberty to go out and pursue your destiny, to pursue your passions. And that's what we continue to celebrate now. That's what our country was based on. That freedom to be all that you want to be, to pursue your happiness whatever way you thought was appropriate.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to stir up any left-wing angst against our visit this morning, but I will say this. When you use the terminology, I'm a Caucasian, I'm a white man, I'm 71 years old, and nobody is going to convince me that there is any country on the face of the earth that even comes close to the United States of America. So I guess I'm an avowed nationalist, so I'm a white nationalist, and I'm very proud of the products that happen and occur in this country. I'm very proud of our lifestyle, etc. What is being wrong today with being and taking pride in our country?
Nothing. And I think we're starting to see that turn around. You know, you're absolutely right about what you say. And, you know, in the last 2.5 years, we've added 523,000 jobs, manufacturing jobs.
Right.
And if you think about it, I understand that at least more than half of that, 264,000 of those jobs were created in 2018 alone. And you know what, Seb? That's the most since 1997. So clearly there's been a turnaround in how people perceive keeping jobs in America. Because when you buy imported products, that money leaves this country, and in a lot of cases it supports perhaps an enemy of our country. And the sovereignty of this country depends on maintaining this strength, the manufacturing strength, the strength in our economy. And I'll tell you something else. 85% of blue-collar workers right now believe that their lives are heading in a positive direction, and their wages have increased substantially as well. So when they're doing well, everybody's doing well. I want my neighbor, my relative, my friends to do well. And when we see that MadeInAmerica.com label, Made in America, it's all about making a promise to other Americans. We as Americans promise our brothers and sisters here in this country that we are going to support them, that we're going to keep the momentum going, especially since the last 2.5 years have shown such a growth in job opportunity.
Well, and the thing is, you know, and I'm really strict about this, and my wife is sitting right here in the studio with me, that for years and years we've adopted the policy that if we go to the grocery store or if we're buying clothing or whatever the case might be, it better have a manufactured or processed and made in America, or we're not going to buy it. I'm very, very finicky about that.
Good for you. And you know what? It's becoming easier and easier to find those labels. And the more we support those efforts, the Made in America efforts, the more those prices are going to go down for U.S. manufacturers because it becomes competitive. Someone who has an apparel business told me that they only buy, even though it's a little bit higher, the price is a little higher, they only buy their materials here, the T-shirts and so forth. But they've noticed a downtick in the price. The price has gone down some because others are doing the same. So, once we get started, and I'll tell you something, it's about, if you think, because we buy something in China, our landfills and waters are filled with junk, that we've bought, that we've imported. But when we spend that little bit of money, and a lot of manufacturers have said they will eat the cost, the difference, the increase, and still make a competitive price for the consumer. I think that we're all on the right page here, and I think we're headed in the right direction, and we have to keep it up. And that's why MadeInAmerica.com, when they have this first ever trade show in Indianapolis, it's October 3rd through the 6th. But the whole idea behind this is to highlight American-made products and the businesses and their stories, because, Zeb, there are some great stories out there. They are regular people. Some people, 50 years old, 60 years old, started their own business. It's never too late. One woman, out of necessity, started a bakery product to transport baked goods. I mean, the stories are great. So we're highlighting that. We're making it possible for, if you own a small business or medium-sized business, you know that the economy depends on a strong manufacturing base. So here's what we're doing. We're making this an opportunity to show your wares, not just business to business, but business to consumer, because it's open to the public, just like a home show would be. It's only $25 for a 3-day pass. But you are going to be exposed to products that you may not have known about that are made right here in this country, so that you can support them. Plus, you have the opportunity to hear some great people. We've got Big and Rich performing, and John Rich is a businessman himself. He's got Redneck Riviera Whiskey. But we've got Stephen Moore, Ted Nugent, Darrell Waltrip just started his own business, NASCAR guy, and Rosemary Gibson, Warren Tuttle. A lot of really great speakers, little seminars. It's for everybody. It really is, whether you want to attend or you want to exhibit. MadeInAmerica.com.
Let me ask you this. If you were to put a theme on this event that's going to be coming up October 3rd through the 6th back in Indianapolis, what kind of a theme would you put on it? What kind of a tagline? What do you want the general public to know before they even show up?
That's a really good question. I like that. I think one of the themes is it's patriotic. What more patriotic thing can you do than spend American dollars on American-made products to save American jobs? I think that wraps it up for everybody. It's the Made in America label. It's a promise to Americans by Americans. And so when you're out there as a business and highlighting your product, or whether you're coming as an attendee.
Go ahead, Rose. Go ahead.
Our neighbors, our friends, our relatives.
Absolutely. When you hear the moo of a cow on my program, it signifies that we have a telephone call. So I apologize. I should have told you that up front. We have a caller with a question for you. So please, caller, go ahead for Rose Tennant. Your question, please.
Just a statement. It's about Made in America is about protecting our national security. I just wanted to add that.
All right, caller, I appreciate that. Rose, if you'd like to respond to the caller, go ahead, please.
Well, it is. He's right. And there's so many. In fact, he just reminded me that one of the speakers at the event is a woman who wrote a book about the China RX problem that we have, with our prescriptions and so forth with drugs, Rosemary Gibson. So you're right. I mean, there's so many aspects to this. Most importantly, it's supporting fellow Americans. That's the bottom line, and it's patriotic. It really is. And protecting the sovereignty of this country.
What I would say to you, Rose, and you've probably already thought about this, I'm sure, and to the organizers of this event, I think it should almost be mandatory for schools and school children and different grades, whether it's grade school or high school, to be involved in this, to appreciate and really understand the pride in America.
Oh, I love that you said that. I think that's a great idea. I think you know what? I'm going to ask them to promote that actually that way. I like that. In fact, by the way, just so you know, we do have a media row, and we'd love to see you there, too. I think that would be fun.
Well, I have a dear friend that owns a very large business back in Indianapolis, Indiana, and subsidiary companies all across America, Dave Bigo, and I'm going to be calling him after the program. He's scheduled to come on the program tomorrow and visit with us, and I'm going to tell him about the dates and the location and everything, and maybe he can make contact with you. But I think our children in our country need to know the pride that should be re-implemented across the board, and I think it's imperative school kids be there.
You know what? I love that idea. I'm passing that on to the organizers. I think it's a great idea. And I would love for you to put me in contact with the gentleman that you just spoke of.
I will. I will do that. And we have another call with a question before I run out of time. Caller, go ahead quickly, please. You're on the air.
Well, it's important that people understand how America functions and that the backbone of the economy is free market capitalism. Free people doing what they do best, innovation, industriousness, and you wonder if the kids understand this. Do the kids all want to be like, follow Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, whoever, and go down the socialism route, live in their mom and dad's basement forever, live on welfare and subsidize rent, or do they want to go out and work and try to have an American dream? You see, how many young people are going to wise up and realize what is going on under their noses? I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, please, Rose.
Well, that was a good point. And that's to what you said about bringing the kids in. We need to educate them, and it begins at home. But he's absolutely right, because as America grew, she proved that the best solution to the human condition was individual freedom. Freedom to pursue your own happiness, your destiny. So he's right. He's absolutely right. That is the best solution to the human condition.
Rose, I tell you what I'm going to do. I can't do it immediately after my show today because I have a meeting to attend, but I'm going to get with you and my dear friend Dave Bigo back in Indianapolis, and I'll set you up with telephone numbers so that you can converse with him. But I want to extend to you and Big and Rich and everybody else involved in this a lot of success, and I will do my best to try to come back and see that event, be a part of that event, and I just compliment you for what you're doing.
Oh, honey, thank you so much, and I do hope to see you there. I really do. If you want any information, just give me a call at another time, and we'll work it out.
All right, Rose Tennant, thank you so much, and you can bet that you'll hear from my office in the next day or so. Thank you so much.
All right, hon. Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Made in America by American. I love the concept, and it's high time that we had something like this. A Made in America great big convention at the Indiana Convention Center, October 3rd through the 6th, that we can be proud of what we as Americans can do. God bless them. Right now, it's time for the weather forecast. Oh, Wheels is over there, and he says, yes, sirree, Bobby. The weather brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Oh, the delicious meats, whether it's the marinated pork ribs or the tri-tips or all the different bacons and the sausages and the bratwurst. It's delicious. All you need to do is just get a hold of them today, 324-7657. Scarrows Meats in Jerome. You get a hold of them today. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be another warm one. Here's a look at your weather forecast, and it's going to be sunny for today, so make sure you grab that water bottle and that sunscreen. We are expecting a high of 94 tonight, nice and clear with a low of 56 tomorrow. Another warm day, sunny skies, low 90s. Overnight lows are going to be right around 60. For Thursday, looks like some clouds are going to be rolling into the valley, and we're going to be cooling off just a little bit. Partly cloudy skies with a high of 82, overnight low of 51. Then for Friday, back to sunny skies in mid-80s. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7th Ranch.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Right now, it's about 78 degrees outside right here at the ranch, as a matter of fact. So it is going to get a little warm today, and we urge you to drink a lot of water, stay hydrated, stay in the shade. Weather brought to you this hour by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Hello, Don Scarrow and the crew. You can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. And if you've still got a company picnic coming up, or maybe a family reunion on Labor Day, whatever the case might be, get a hold of our friends at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, where they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I have got about 2-3 minutes. I could take another call. Give me a jingle on the landline at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Like to hear from you. And Wheels, all of a sudden something went back again. I don't know if we've got a knob over there that gets bumped or whatever, but now we're not getting the same quality and tone that we had earlier. If you could check on that, I'd appreciate it. And in the interim, give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In God we trust. And many, many, many of the school districts across the United States are proudly putting back up our national motto, to the chagrin and the hatred of the left, the evil, sinister left that hates In God We Trust. I was following some of the stories this morning early on the news about different school districts that are putting up signs over their archways going into the schools or at various locations in the schools. In God We Trust, proudly. It's about time that we started putting that slogan, our national motto, back up where it's in the forefront. Everybody can look at it, everybody can appreciate it, and those that can't, that's their problem. In God we trust. We've incorporated that slogan, motto, at the end of our program every day, and we're going to remain that way. We get our naysayers. Oh, yeah. We get our naysayers about having the Pledge of Allegiance when we start the program. We get our naysayers when we do something as far as patriotic music or national anthem. We get our naysayers when we have somebody on talking about the Bible and or God's Word or quotes or, like in this case, our national motto, In God We Trust. But to the naysayers, I'm going to keep on keeping on. I'm not going to change for you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Pardon my chuckle, but how would you like if you were a presidential hopeful like Joe Biden, and your wife is interviewed on a news program, and she sits there and says, well, and I'm paraphrasing, well, other candidates that are running for president might have better ideas or viewpoints on various issues ahead of Joe, but you really ought to vote for Joe because he'd still be a better president. You know, she's admitting that many of the viewpoints and some of the ideas and some of the circumstances that Joe is promoting on behalf of trying to be president are not that good and not that acceptable. But she says you really ought to vote for him just the same. I honestly believe, and I'll say this, that Joe Biden will be out of the race by Christmas time. I think he's going to be done. I think he's going to be home. I think he's going to be singing the song, I'll Be Home for Christmas, and meaning it away from the possibility of becoming the national Democratic nominee for president. Calls are welcome, 436. And I wish that Bernie and Elizabeth and Corey and Camilla, they all were home for Christmas. Don't forget our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, all 7 of them with the very best in safe driving tires for you. Oh, my goodness, whether it's for your car, your pickup, your SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, camp trailer, whatever the case might be, you need tires. They've got all the tread designs. They've got all the sizes, and they're ready to serve you at all 7 locations. Also with the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. There is nobody better. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, quickly, I've got about 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Sounds like a woman that wants her man out of the kitchen.
What was that, Earl?
I said Jill Biden sounds like a woman that wants her man out of the kitchen in
Well, I really don't think, honestly, that Joe Biden wants Joe Biden to become president, as is the case with a lot of people that have been supporting him up to this point. Earl, it's good to hear from you. Take care. You're the man on the mountain. Have a good day, sir.
I caught that this morning, and I kind of have the same sentiments as you, Zeb.
I appreciate that, Earl. Thank you for your call, as always. I thank you for taking the time. Thank you. We're going to get out of here today and be back tomorrow. Dave Bigo, Jerry Zollinger, Idaho Fish and Game. Lots of good things tomorrow morning on the program. And like we always say at the end of the show, the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the world needs more cowboys. But most importantly, in God we trust. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.